I've bought 40 scale figures and unfortunately one of them broke during delivery. 2024 have been a big year. I've seen some really cool figures around the world, from unexpected places such as a brand new figure shop in Malaysia, to the bustling city of Hong Kong, famous in the past for toy manufacturing, and then of course a pilgrimage to the holy city of Akihabara, where new shops and new figures come on display. And trust me, I've seen some crazy new figures there. In 2024, I've bought 20 scale figures, doubling the collection of 2.5 years. I've seen a lot since I started the hobby, trying out new things such as buying direct from MiHoYo shop in China. I've also made some bad mistakes along the way, which I've shared on the channel, but today I'm going to go through the entire collection of scale figures, picking my personal top 5 figures that I've bought in 2024. I'll explain what happened with my figure delivery from China, show you my regret buys, and give you an updated room tour. There's 40 scale figures, so sit tight, get a drink, and catch the top 5 at the end. Let's start with the smallest scale figure in the collection that was just released. Tingyun from Honkai Star Rail. This is the first scale figure of the HSR franchise, and it only cost $30. This figure was produced by MyEthos, which is renowned for their high quality and affordable figures. If you're a HSR fan, I suggest you pre-order the Kafka figure that's coming out soon as well. At $110, this is the size of a prize figure, but with much better quality, trust me. The face sculpt was well executed, showing the foxy and mischievous smile, and there's great use of color gradients across the figure. I'm very impressed with the subtlety that they have on the edges of her hair, and at the base, though it was quite basic, it was very nicely done and it complements the figure. The only negative I have is the color of the tail. Could have been a bit more textured. It looks a bit plain compared to the rest of the figure. Overall, this is a great figure, and best of all, her head was still intact when it arrived. This is a figure worth getting your socks wet for. This figure is made by Apex and beautifully captures Kamisato Ayaka during the dance scene of her story quest. This is a must buy for me after I watched her cutscenes a few years ago in Azuma. I got this figure in Akihabara, Japan, literally the day it was released in the Ami shops. Got a very good price with tax-free shopping, and it came with a nice acrylic poster. I got quite lucky. Overall, an amazing figure, great detailing on her hands, love the patterns on her clothing, a great blend of samurai armor and Japanese kimono. The cryovision on her back is a very high quality, and it's a shame that most people won't see it on the one side of the shelf. The fan adds a bit of height to the figure and completes her pose perfectly. Love the face sculpt, the expression that she has, it matches the game. The base is beautifully designed with the water effects and the plants, and best of all, she's wearing the socks in the water. This is the first Overlord figure to be reviewed, and it's the best Albedo figure and Overlord figure in my collection. This is the Albedo white dress by Fuyu, and I'm a huge fan of the way they did the sculpt here. That the green wings combined with the dark ooze and the metal poles really stood out for me, giving me a really edgy feel to the figure. A lot of people don't like her face, but I'm a fan of her expression here. Despite being a popular character with loads of figures on the market, it gets a lot of complaints because of the way they sculpt her face. Her wings are lush with feathering, and likewise it's very well done. The only negative point I have here is the poor effort on the base, which really took away any chance of her being my top 5 for the year. This figure was way too expensive when it first released, but after a few months I managed to get it on sale on Ami, and it gave me a huge bunch of points for it as well. Overall, love this figure, great Albedo figure, one for the Overlord fans. There are 2 very large reasons why I bought this figure. I watched Eminence in Shadow, and I liked the prototype when I first saw it in Akihabara. The figure was just released, and my only regret was buying the special edition just because it pushed it just beyond the customs threshold of the UK, so I had to pay an extra £41 in taxes. But at least I got a nice expensive mouse mat out of it. The figure is great with an excellent base that has purple flames shooting from the checkered floor, and I'm very impressed with the amount of detailing that KD Cole has put into her face. Check out these braids on the fringes of her hair, there's very good detailing. The armor is very perfect. I really like the black suits that they're wearing in the anime. The jewels on the sword could have been a bit better, but overall this is a great figure for you beta fans. Speaking of which, don't hate me, but my only negative comment is I think that her melons are just a bit too big, especially compared with other manufacturers, but maybe it's staying true to the anime and the light novel designs, I don't know, but it's definitely better than this figure of Delta that they're releasing. Here's another figure that broke, completely my fault. I tried to push the figure into the stand without removing the lantern, and I had to super glue it back in. Serves me right for not reading the Japanese manual first. This Honkai Impact figure of Fuha is one of the best in my collection, and I was really tempted to put her in the top 5, but there just wasn't enough space. There's a lot of intricate detailing here with the birds, the frames, the layers of clothing, and I actually think she looks better than the in-game battlesuit. I think I managed to fix the lantern quite well, though she can't be put back in a box, which makes it a problem when I move one day. But this is a stunning Honkai Impact figure, a must get for any Fuha fan. I mean, it is gorgeous, but let's move on to the student who tried to kill her. This is the first figure I bought directly from the MiHoYo store in China, using Superbuy as a proxy, since I couldn't get her in the Japanese stores anymore. This figure is made by Alta, which is one of the best figure manufacturers out there, and they really delivered the quality here. Some of the parts are quite intricate, like the platens on her gloves or on the battle suit, and I really do like how razor sharp the cones and the wings are. I fell in love with Honkai Impact during the cutscene when the Queen decimated the anti-entropy army, and I love the vocal music in Honkai Impact. Before was one of my favorite songs. This was a strong contender for top 5, but missed out because of the support stance, and the face, well, although it's well sculpted, can look a bit odd in certain angles. If you do want to know about how to buy these figures, let me know in the comment section below. Okay, it's time for Cake, and this is one of the few figures I have dioramas for, which I got directly from the MiHoYo store in Tmall. This is Honkai Impact 3rd Elysia Miss Pink. I think the diorama completes the look, as the figure itself is perfectly set up to be in a diorama, as it comes with a shop stand and a cute little plant pot. For such a casual figure, Apex really pulled out the stops on this one, seriously. All the accessories are perfectly crafted, and for a figure that only costs about $100 or so, you not only get like a pre-order bonus, but you also get like a table and a shop stand, and the figure itself is very beautiful. Every part of Elysia has some intricate detailing, from the embroidery of her clothes to the horns of her head, or all those golden butterflies on her dress. A lot of Elysia fans have this figure, but I definitely recommend the diorama case if you can get your hands on it. If you want Honkai figures, it's best you order from the MiHoYo store on Taobao, as this figure isn't really available anywhere else. I got her from Superbuy. Unfortunately, her diorama set came with the wrong parts, another story for another video. This figure is pretty damn good. It comes with a sandy beach, a chair, umbrellas, and a surfboard. Both the sandwiches and the champagne are magnetic, which makes it really stable. I really like that. I also like how her head flows along the chair, and overall design is really good. And overall, her design is a better representation of her battlesuit, because it's more chilled and all the accessories are pretty fun to look at. I only have a few complaints. I think her face is a little bit dark, her smile's a little bit off, and that line, man, is annoying. It's super flimsy. I nearly lost it a few times. Overall, this is the best beach figure I have at the moment, and a great one for the Honkai Impact fans. This is my first freeing bunny, and it's truly unique with the bunny ears, baseball cap, and the massive sword that she's carrying. Since it's larger, it's easier to notice all the detailing Freeing has put into this bunny, including the design of the accessories, and I really like the choice of colours, including the subtle grey colour gradient of her hair. I got it when it was reduced by $67 from Ami, and the only negative I have about the bunny was the slight scare when I noticed that the snapped peg was still inside her foot. Oddly enough, none of the pegs on the base were broken, so there was no issue after all, but it's a bit of a scare. This won't be my last bunny, as I'm loving the size and the height. The problem is the space and the large price tag that Freeing has put on them. Okay, another one from the Overlord section, and one of my favourite manufacturers, Alta. This figure was re-released this year, and I bought it to help me complete my collection of Overlord characters. I found this figure to be more interesting than other Narberal figures available, and Alta put a lot of effort in coming up with a great sculpt, including a bed of roses and a realistic pillar for her to sit on. My only complaint is that the vines look a bit cheap compared to the rest of the figure, and I can't get her bloody foot all the way into the peg. It's really annoying me, but I tried everything and I can't get it through. Otherwise, this is a very creative and popular Overlord figure, and I hope they keep doing more Overlord figures so I can collect all the battle mates. Arknights is a Chinese gacha game that played during COVID, and they released a lot of cool figures. Recently they opened up a pop-up store in Akihabara, but that's for another video. This figure is great value for money. For $100 you not only get Chen in a beautiful China dress, but you also get a whole dragon as part of the backdrop with a table and a marble disc. There's a lot of textures going on in this figure, and I'm impressed that they added a nice scaly texture to the dragon and to Chen's tail as well. I got it on a 10% discount when it went on sale, and now it's reduced even further. It just goes to show that patience really does pay off, so don't pre-order all the time and just wait a bit for those discounts. Elaina has one of the most underrated animes out there, and KD Cole was clever in making her fly in this figure without the use of any support stand, and this was creatively done by using the smoke rising up from the wand down into the book. Elaina for some reason has tons of figures on the market. Maybe the fans think that buying figures will help them get season 2 of the anime. Anyways, out of all the Elaina figures released, I think this was the most visually impressive, and it really gives off the impression that Elaina has flown out of a magical diary using her wand. There's a great choice of colors and high quality craftsmanship on her brooms, the accessories, and the magical smoke at the bottom. If you like the anime, I definitely recommend you check out her light novels. I've bought most of them. They're really good and goes deeper into her character and story. Overall, I personally think this is the best Elaina figure out there, and it's definitely worth buying if you're a fan. Both the MCs of Genshin Impact are similar, so I'm going to review them both. Two 5-star characters that you don't need primo gems to get. The figures themselves have pretty decent bases. They are similar to the Barbara figure that I own. Looks like a piece of Mondstadt. Pretty good detailing for two casual figures by Kotobukiya, and they're both holding a sword that's not a dull blade. Personally, I prefer Lumine just because her color is brighter than Ether, and I like the Intervat flower on her head, which is the national flower of Khaenri'ah. Overall, these are two decent figures for Genshin Impact, and well, if you like the Travellers, these are two you should consider. Chika unboxed herself on Christmas Day, and she's one of the best Christmas figures that you can get. The whole gift effect worked really well for her, and definitely this is a very eye-catching figure as she pushes herself out of the box. The figure is made by B-Box, which is sculpted by MyEthos. It also comes with Ishigami and Miko, which sadly doesn't get much love in the figure market. I did another video on it, so I won't talk too much, but this is one of the figures for Christmas, not for top 5 of 2024 though. If buying you is a sin, then I'll gladly be a sinner. Still one of the best Honkai Impact figures ever released. Raiden Mei was re-released briefly in 2022 on AmiAmi, but you can still get her directly from the MiHoYo store via Taobao. I'll release a video soon on how to buy her. This is a complex figure of multiple components, including 2 arms, an acrylic backdrop, and of course a beautiful figure of Raiden Mei sitting on a gigantic sword. Visually, this figure makes a huge impact, no pun intended, and even the box it came with was pretty sick. You can even have the option to buy her without the 2 arms, but don't be foolish, give the Queen of Thunder everything you have. The longer you have the figure, the more detailing you come to recognize and appreciate, such as the way they did the fingers on the giant arms, the leather straps on her clothing, or the horns on her shoulder blade. Loads of detailing. This is one of the earliest scale figures I have and one of the best in my collection. But it wasn't bought in 2024, so it's not in the top 5 today. NingGuang is still the best Genshin figure, and it's no surprise since Hoyoverse have given up releasing more Genshin figures lately, though I'm super excited about Eula coming out soon. However, this is a 4-star character with a 5-star figure. It's one of the best figures I bought in 2023 without a doubt. There's a lot going on in the design, and everything from the chair, the jade screen, and the smoke pot is carefully placed to create an awesome diorama. NingGuang has a lot of gold ornaments throughout her figure. Her pose and pipe make her look like such a badass, totally ready to rule Liyue. Everything about this figure exudes quality, including the massive wooden box that brings the total shipping weight to a whopping 8.5 kilos. It's the only figure that I have that allows you to put another figure on the same base. Ganyu's figure is simple but elegant, and you really notice some interesting details after a while, like how she only has wings on the right shoe. Face sculpt is really good, and it might be my imagination, but I think she looks less pale than last year. I think they could have done a better Ganyu figure that matches her ultimate in the smash art, but then again you can't combine it with NingGuang. Either way, it certainly looks better than this fake Ganyu I saw in Hong Kong. I mean, it looks like Ganyu took a walk through Chernobyl. NingGuang has a cool feature where the lantern at the back can be turned on with the scrolls. Unfortunately, changing the batteries when they go out is a hassle, so I rarely do this. My only negative is that I had to fix the assembly of the smoke pot by cutting the wires to make it fit. Otherwise, this is the best Genshin figure on the market right now. 02 fans must get this figure. I have 2 wedding figures, and this is potentially the best one. This is a fantastic adaptation of 02 and perfectly blends the themes of wedding and mecha into one figure. This is a Grail figure. It came with a fixed price shipping from the Good Smile company and included this nice memorial board. Though it would have been nice if they made a wedding certificate just like Apex did with the New Jersey figure by Azure Lane. This is a figure that you should spend some time looking closely, and you'll spot little details and see how they added all the mecha elements. For example, I've just owned this figure for over a year and just spotted these metallic flakes on her flowers. Very intricate detailing. 2 negative points. First is the use of the support stand for her dress, which is needed due to the weight, and second, she's a bit fat and takes up a lot of space, mainly due to her spear though. However, this is a perfect figure for any 02 fan who wanted a happy ending for her, a must for all darlings out there. This is the best wedding figure on the Hoyoverse collection. This is Honkai Impact 3rd Yae Sakura during Raymond. It is a gorgeous figure and Apex has done a fantastic job extending the design of the battlesuit with a beautiful arch that Yae Sakura sits on. There's a lot of detailing going on here, from the wings of her dress to even the detailing of her bunny ears. Great choice of colours combining white, pink and gold accents. I can't decide between 02 or this as my favourite wedding figure, but both have one thing in common though: they both take a huge amount of space on my shelf, but they're both well worth it. Only downside is this flimsy support stamp that is semi-broken over the year, but otherwise this is a stunning centerpiece for any Honkai fan, and one that you can still get on the market if you're still interested. This is the only scale figure for Rita Roswise and it's a stunning one. Elegantly designed, this figure from Honkai Impact doesn't take up much space on the shelf despite the large umbrella, and it's one of the few figures that I got the diorama case from directly from the MiHoYo store, which shows off all her elegant details. I love the Chinese background. I like the face sculpt and the beautiful umbrella and the resin ribbons all across her dress. This was a second-hand figure that I picked up during my first visit to Akihabara. The figure itself had no defects but had a lower rating since it was missing some accessories. I think it was an acrylic stand. My only complaint is this flimsy ribbon which falls off quite easily from the umbrella. Otherwise it's a pretty decent figure overall, and you know, if you're a fan of Rita, this is the only figure you're gonna get. This is such an underrated figure. Teresa, Slarded Astrologus is a playable battlesuit in the game, but they've gone above and beyond in making this miniature diorama set for her with a swing, covered in gold leaves and a small waterfall. Teresa is beautifully decorated with golden hairpins, gold medallions, flowers, lots of layers of clothing, and as you can see, the figure has decorations practically everywhere and a lot of intricate paintwork. This is my first figure from Hobby Max and I gotta say I'm very impressed. The figure does deserve more attention and reviews. My only point for improvement would be that the wooden branches and the rocks could do with a bit more texturing to look a bit more realistic. Don't know why it's not rated higher in the community, maybe they just can't take her seriously. This is the best Megumin figure on the market at the moment, and this is one that accidentally melted her cape trying to fix an assembly issue. Every time I see it in Japan it gets more expensive, and to get it secondhand recently it cost more than double its price. This is a powerful figure of Megumin to have on display, showcasing the build of Megumin's one and only explosion attack. I can't do the voice. The facial expression of both Megumin and Chimusuke are perfect. I love the way that the cat points forward. The resin really stands out here. I mean, that is the signature part of this figure. A lot of Eastream figures have this, and Eastream is this luxury brand of figures, make really high quality figures. You'll see a few more in a moment. Luckily after 2 years the cape is still fine, resting on the resin, and I couldn't get the neck into the choker all the way in. Luckily it's quite hard to notice. Overall, this is a grail figure for the figure collectors on the market, and definitely the best Megumin figure out there at the moment. My first Albedo scale figure arguably has the best hair. It flows along her back and I really like the change of colour towards the end. The blue wings are impressive and really complements the simple clothing that she's wearing. Although the outfit is simple, she has some nice accessories such as the ribbons on her hand or the ribbon with Ainz's face on her horns. This is a popular choice by Albedo fans and quite a bargain when I bought her in Japan. I got tax-free shipping. Only negatives are that the basic base, and also unfortunately mine had a few paint defects. Not noticeable from a distance though, but still a bit annoying. Overall it's not the best Albedo figure, but a very decent figure of everyone's favourite crazy waifu. Another Overlord figure, another battle made by one of my favourite manufacturers, Alter. Lupus Reginus Beta, a cheerful werewolf battle made with a dark sadistic nature that loves to torture people. Alter's face sculpt was interesting as it mixes a bright personality with a subtle menacing tones of her eyes and exposed fangs on her teeth. The base itself has some weight and I really love the shading and design of the jagged edges. Lots of detailing and colour gradients on her clothing and accessories, plus the axe on her back looks awesome. This is a figure that can be enjoyed from all angles, and I wish they made more battlemates as good as this, so Alter, please keep making Overlord figures. This is the second best Genshin character that I own, who is broken because his shoe broke apart when it arrived. Luckily it's a simple job with super glue. This is a 5-star character for 4-star DPS, as Xiao is no longer broken in damage, as this character in game is so power crept they had to release 2 supports for him and he still doesn't do the most damage. Due to the number of fans, they really had to nail down the sculpt of the face perfectly. And check out the definition of his chest. Great ab work by Apex. But overall, this is a stunning figure. My only other complaint as well is that the spears take up a lot of space on your detolf, so it's kind of hard to position other figures around it. Barbara constellations suck, but this figure doesn't. This is the only Barbara you want to collect. The manufacturer Kotobukiya has done a great job in adding an interesting bass and floating musical notes around the figure. Fun fact, the notes actually represent the melody that Barbara has for her idol animation in game, and I love how the manufacturer decided to use stars to hide the support stands. Thank you for doing that. The face sculpt is perfect, and I found that you can have an alternative faceplate if you buy it from MiHoYo store in China directly, but I don't really care since it's sometimes a pain to swap and store different parts. Overall, a great figure that captures Barbara's happier days before patch 1.3. By the way, I bought this figure for 16,400 yen back in 2022, but now it's gone up nearly 20% in price. Stop losing your 50/50s and get this figure instead. This is one of the best Genshin Impact figures on the market. Keqing looks electric in her ultimate battle pose, and what I really like is how Apex made her float in the air without any support stands. Keqing is supported in the air just by the stars of her own burst, which gives the figure a lot of height. The colors make the figure stand out a lot with the many layers of clothing and the abundant amount of color gradients on her robes. This is a really good figure with a lot of detailing all around. Even the inscriptions on her tie aren't missed out. This Elysia girl comes with 2 swords. I've kept the limes raw because it looks better, and I've left the other one in the box. The problem with switchable items is that you rarely can be motivated to switch them around. Overall, a great figure for fans who like the standard banner. Next up is Mona by the Japanese company Wonderful Works. At $100, this is the cheapest figure I own that has a resin base. Excellent detailing on the abs and perfect rendition of Mona's first costume before it got censored in game for the CM players. Personally, I prefer this costume since it has leggings at its full length and has the ornament on the side. I've never noticed this, but she has this rope thing behind the back until I did this review. It's great that I still notice new things in figures I've owned for some time. Overall, a great figure for one of my first and favorite Genshin characters in the game. This is my first Genshin figure and one of the first reviews I did on the channel. I'm pretty sure nobody uses Klee anymore, I'm sorry, but her figure is pretty solid and definitely captures her personality very well. I recommend her if you're a Klee fan and she doesn't take up much space on the shelf. One thing I'd say though is that it's a pretty decent figure and I think MiHoYo really captured her personality here. After beta, there's Alpha from Eminence in Shadow, another figure that I picked up secondhand from Akihabara. A very elegant figure and in my opinion still one of the best scale figures of Alpha on the market. There's decent detailing across the fringes of her dress and the handkerchief, very good use of color gradients for her dress to create shadows and contrasts. My only 2 negative comments are the base is a bit boring with the black plate and her face is a bit pale in certain lighting. There's also a tiny support stand to hold her skirt, but it's not that noticeable. Overall, a decent figure and I'm glad I picked this up from Japan. Also, side note, she was small enough that I can actually fit her in the hand carry, so I didn't have to check her in on the plane. Let Anya point to the Best Buy X family figure. This is a simple bright figure that I keep on my desk. Anya comes with 2 faceplates. I keep the more cheerful one on for positive vibes, and it's not a figure that will win any awards by any means, but it looks nice and I like Anya and Bond's expressions. Certainly looks better than some of the Spy X ones released so far, and I'm a little tempted to get the Code White figure, but it's far too expensive at the moment. I'll wait for it to go down in price. Here's my first ever scale figure. This useless goddess is still looking great after 2.5 years of collecting. I got her at the London Anime Convention and this is before I knew anything about buying figures. My only complaint is that the fan just falls off a bit too easily. I also discovered something new recently on Reddit, that the hairband that she wears is meant to represent a H2O molecule. Nice bit of trivia for the Konosuba fans. Otherwise, this is a good figure and I'm glad that she's still looking bright and vibrant just like the day I bought her. Time to begin my 3 regret buys. First off, I have this figure of Overlord Delta from Fuyu, which I was quite disappointed with the overall quality of the material that they used in her gun, base and outfit. Her gun was especially quite let down and feels very flimsy and light. I mentioned before I didn't like the manufacturer that much, but somehow they still make most of the Overlord characters and the figurines, so you're not left with much choice. If you do want a figure of Delta though, I recommend you checking out the new figure made by Kadokawa instead. When you start your figure collecting journey, please don't buy every single figure that you see. Saya is Elaina's apprentice, and even though this figure isn't bad per se, I wasn't impressed with how Fuyu did her facial expression here, and there's some nice detailing in certain areas such as her brooch, but what I'm really annoyed about is that the large ugly blue base, which takes up a lot of room on my shelf. Overall, I'm not impressed with this figure, and I might let it go as a giveaway. Okay, the title's misleading here. I actually quite like this figure of Roxy from Mushoku Tensei, as the base and the detailing from Prisma Wing is done very well. She's a regret buy because I stupidly bought 2 by accident. The first I got using surface shipping, and because the delivery took so long, I actually forgot I ordered it. So when it went on sale again, I ordered another one. How dumb is that? Has anyone done this before? If so, leave a comment so I don't feel so bad about it. Otherwise, this is a pretty decent figure of Roxy and I do love the resin on the base, so don't hold back buying it. I'm actually considering giving the spare Roxy as a giveaway when I hit 5,000 subs at some point. Choosing the top 5 is difficult and I want this video to be about 2024, so here's the criteria. The figure must be bought in 2024 but not necessarily released that year. Unfortunately, NingGuang and Raiden will be out of the list. It must also offer a high level of craftsmanship, and lastly, as a bit of a wild card, it must resonate with me personally. So without further ado, let's see the top 5. So here it is, coming in hot at number 5. It's Kiana Herrscher of Flamesion by NingGuang. This figure went through a few iterations since its prototype, but the final figure delivers the eye in Honkai Impact. The figure brilliantly depicts Kiana's resolve and determination in the game. Choice of colors and materials are on point, from the normal form to the fiery cape that she uses to generate heat in the Herrscher form. I love the pose that they've gone with Kiana. It also comes with 2 different capes and swords that you can swap around as well. Craftsmanship is definitely there with the large horizontal capes. Very cool detailing with the scorch marks. Both capes and swords are very well made with intricate patterns that mimics how it flows in game. Only negatives I have are the small support stands and also the fact that the cape didn't stick on properly due to the weights. I had to use some sticky tack to keep it in place. I also bought the diorama box for her from MiHoYo's store from Superbuy, which completes her look as a centerpiece in my room. Let me know in the comment section below if you want to know how to buy these direct from China. If you're a fan of Tuna, this is the best figure of her at the moment, but there are more figures coming out for her very soon. RE0 fans, this is one of the best Emilia figures you can get. This figure is truly a spectacle and makes a huge statement in any room with its grand icicles and the tall, powerful yet elegant Emilia standing in the center of a lotus flower. The manufacturer Eastream is also known as Shibuya Scramble and has a reputation for making luxury figures, and although not cheap, I was fortunate to get this one secondhand from AmiAmi in mint condition at a huge discount. Check out my top 5 tips on how to buy from AmiAmi video before buying any secondhand figures if you want to know all the risks and ratings of buying secondhand to save you money. Emilia's dress is jaw-dropping gorgeous and really comes out when you have the right lighting to get that shimmering effect on the icicles. There's a blue version of this figure that's super expensive now and impossible to get under $500 US. I've seen it in person in Hong Kong. The water resin is a work of art though. I didn't put this figure high on the list because the colors weren't as diverse, especially this choice of weird brown color on the ribbon, and the next 3 on the list are truly amazing. Rem is one of the most popular figure characters out there, but this figure by Eastream sits as one of the best ones you can get of her. The only Rem figure that I would personally consider to be better would be the blue dress crystal version by Eastream. Everything about this figure is awesome. It has tall red shards at the back, a very detailed and intricate figure of Rem with her demonic face, and of course the blood resin all around her that really gives her that signature look and makes it stand out amongst other figures. This is really and truly a work of art and comfortably sits in my top 5. Rem is currently above Emilia, not because she's clearly a better character in the anime, but because her figure design is just a little bit more complex. The figure isn't cheap. I bought it in Hong Kong for like $300 US and almost failed to bring her back home because of the box. However, the next one on the list is even more expensive, so let's see what that is. Towering over position 2 is one of the best figures of all time, and it cost me over $400. This is made by Alter. The craftsmanship on this figure is nothing short of impeccable. I love the design of Schwartz here, and she's one of the first 6-star operatives I got in the game when I was still playing Arknights. The way they made this figure from top to bottom is outstanding, and this is why I think Alter is one of the best figure makers out there. There's tons of textures here, from the base, which has a suitcase that she leaps out from, surrounded by all this delicate resin to match her explosive splash art. The floating rocks are very cool, and Alter managed to get away from having almost no support stands in this very tall figure. The face sculpt was perfect, very detailed, even has headpieces on her cat ears, and I'm loving the translucent coat that she wears, and it coats the figure perfectly. You can really feel the care and love they had making this figure. Even the bag on the side is textured and well designed to complement her pose here. This is a figure you can truly appreciate for hours, I'm telling you. As you look closer, you'll start to notice more details and truly appreciate the great craftsmanship here, like the different types of paint that they use, or how they do the indents on the arrow tips. I still have 2 negative points. One is that she still has a support stand to keep her stable, and the second is this hefty price tag, but god, she's a top-notch Grail figure. She currently sits at number 2, why is she not number 1? Let's find out. Before I continue the list, my final figure delivery of 2024 was every collector's worst nightmare. The latest Elysia Herrscher of Human Ego figure from Honkai Impact arrived in a box that looks like it was shipped next to a fridge. I ordered this from Taobao via Superbuy to save money direct from the MiHoYo website. It's the delivery company to blame. I would say that Superbuy did the packaging just fine. My heart sank though when I saw the figure box. Hopes were raised when I saw Elysia's face, but the resin and the shards were snapped off. I wasn't gonna give up on her, she never gave up on humanity after all. I found all the pieces scattered across the box, and I got to work with some super glue using some kitchen towel to shield her hair. I kept myself busy unboxing the pre-order accessories, and I found out from another content creator, Path to Starlight, that this cup was actually in one of the cutscenes between Elysia and Raiden Mei. I'll be completely honest, I completely forgot and missed this detail in the game. Anyways, once the glue has dried, here's the end result. This is my final figure of 2024 and it's absolutely stunning. Number 1 is the pink elf from Honkai Impact, and Apex really delivered here. I can finally joke about it now that she's fixed. The face sculpt is perfect with a gentle and warm expression from Elysia, and he really nailed the pose down with her final fight with the Herrscher of Corruption. The battlesuit is amazing, lots of flowing robes, highly intricate edges. Her head is adorned with lots of accessories. These translucent roses are pretty sick. Her main body has lots of different layers of different colors, and I really like these gold bells and ornaments. Her hair is crazy good, like what kind of shampoo does she use? She's got a mix of pink and white strands that stretches quite far away from the figure, and it's the same with her dress too, it really flows out from her. I'm quite lucky that none of these strands got damaged, my god. And I've seen another creator's figure broke here, which isn't surprising because the whole thing is just very fragile. I love all the color gradients that they use throughout the figure. The base has shimmering icicles, and the large resin ring at the back gives her a very powerful aura, just like in the cutscene. Can you spot any of the broken bits in the figure? I think I managed to do an okay job with it in the end, using the super glue. I'm quite shocked I managed to get the even tiniest resin back into it. Luckily the shards at the front are covering the glue points at the back, so hopefully no one will notice it. Are there any negatives to the figure? Well, if I had to be nitpicky, I wonder if they can incorporate the bow or that giant fish from the ultimate into the figure somehow. But otherwise, no, she's just perfect. A lot of you will disagree with this top 5 list, and that's good, because every choice is personal, and don't let other people change your mind. It doesn't have to be a scale figure, but your best grail figure could be a prize figure that you won with some friends in Tokyo. For me, my top figure was broken, but Elysia is the beginning and the end, and she doesn't have to be perfect to be the best. Here's a quick room tour to begin our journey into 2025. I have more videos coming up soon from my visits to Malaysia and Japan in 2024, along with a super buy guide to get you those Hoyoverse figures early direct from the MiHoYo shop in China. Thanks everyone for subscribing here. I'm also looking to give away all my regret buys at some point, especially when I hit 5,000 subscribers. Thanks everyone, Happy New Year, wish you all your figures arrive safe and sound in 2025, and have fun collecting.